Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about something super important, network security. But let's make it interesting. I want you to think of yourself as the architect of your very own digital fortress. And in the next few minutes, we're going to go through the blueprint to make that fortress totally impenetrable.
So here's the plan. First, we're going to map out our digital home, figure out what we're actually protecting. Then we'll get into the 3 core pillars of security, the foundation of everything. After that, we'll meet the guards, check out their toolkit, and of course, get to know the enemies at the gate. And stick around, because the last part is all about the most important defender there is. Spoiler alert, it's you.
All right, let's get started. Every fortress is built to protect something valuable, right? So before we start building these massive digital walls, let's get a really clear picture of what's inside. What is our digital home, anyway?
I love this quote because it just makes so much sense. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open when you leave the house, right? Of course not. Your digital life, all your data, your privacy, it deserves that exact same level of basic protection. It's really all about securing your personal space, whether it's online or offline.
Okay, so here's the more official definition. It's all about processes, policies, and practices. Yeah, I know, that sounds a little dry, but don't let the jargon scare you off. All it really means is this: putting up the right defenses to keep the bad guys out and making sure everything inside your digital home stays safe and is there for you when you need it.
All right, so every good fortress needs a rock-solid foundation. And in the world of cybersecurity, that foundation has a name, the CIA triad. And no, before you ask, it has nothing to do with spies and secret agents. So what are these 3 pillars that hold up literally everything in digital security?
Actually, before I tell you, just take a second and think. If you had to guarantee 3 things about your private info, your emails, your photos, your bank details, what would they be? What are the absolute essentials? It's a good bet that whatever you came up with, it's going to line up perfectly with these core principles. And here they are, the big 3. First up, we've got confidentiality. This one's easy. It's just about keeping your secrets, well, secret. It's that scrambled message that only you have the key to. Next is integrity. This is all about making sure your data is what it's supposed to be, that nobody's messed with it. Think of it like a tamper-proof seal on a package. And last but not least, availability. This just means you can actually get to your stuff when you need to. Simple, right? Confidentiality, integrity, availability. CIA. And what's so cool about this is that pretty much any security breach you can think of is a failure of one or more of these 3 things.
Okay, so we've got our foundation laid with the CIA triad. Now it's time to meet the guards. Let's talk about the actual hardware standing at the gates of our digital fortress, doing all the heavy lifting.
And first up is the humble router. You've probably got one blinking in the corner of your room right now. Think of it as the traffic cop for your entire network. It stands at that busy intersection between your home and the wild world of the internet, directing every single piece of data, telling it where to go. It is absolutely your first line of defense.
And working hand in hand with that traffic cop is the firewall. If the router is the traffic cop, the firewall is the tough, no-nonsense gatekeeper. It looks at everything trying to get in or out, checks its clipboard of rules, and makes a decision: allow or deny. If anything looks even a little bit sketchy, nope, access denied. It's that simple.
So, we've got our guards in place, the router and the firewall, but what are they armed with? What tools are in their toolkit? Let's dive into the actual techniques they use to protect everything inside the fortress walls.
This next concept is a 2-step dance you do a dozen times a day without even thinking about it. First is authentication. That's where you prove who you are. It's your password, your fingerprint, or, and this is a big one, a code from your phone. That's multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Then, once the system knows it's really you, comes step 2, authorization. That's the system deciding what you're actually allowed to do. And this slide really breaks it down. Authentication is just showing your ID at the door. Authorization is where that ID gets you. Maybe it gets you into the main concert hall, but it doesn't get you backstage into the VIP area. See the difference? Proving who you are versus what you can do. It's a super important distinction.
Okay, so what's our number 1 tool for that first pillar, confidentiality? It's this: encryption. This is basically the magic of turning normal, readable text into complete, scrambled gobbledygook. And you see it all the time. That little padlock icon next to the website address in your browser, That's HTTPS, and it means your connection is encrypted, keeping your information safe as it zips across the internet.
All right, we've spent all this time building up our fortress, setting up the guards, and handing out the tools. So, who are we actually defending against? Let's flip the script and take a look at the common enemies, the threats that are constantly banging on our digital gates. First on the list is phishing. These are the con artists of the internet. They send you an email or a text that looks totally legit from your bank, from a delivery service, all to trick you into giving up your password or credit card info. And seriously, here's the pro tip you need to remember. Always check the sender's real email address. A lot of the time, that's the dead giveaway that it's a scam.
Next, we have the whole category of malware, which is just short for malicious software. You've probably heard of a computer virus, right? It's a bit of code that hitches a ride on a file to spread and cause trouble. But one of the scariest types of malware today is ransomware. And here's the crazy part. It takes that encryption we just talked about, the good guy technology, and turns it against you. It locks up all your files and holds them hostage until you pay a ransom.
And then there's the DDoS attack. This one isn't subtle at all, it's just pure, overwhelming brute force. Attackers use a whole army of infected computers to flood a website or a server with so much junk traffic that it just gives up. It gets completely overwhelmed and crashes. And if you're thinking back to our CIA triad, you know exactly which pillar this is attacking: availability. It makes the service totally unavailable for everyone who actually wants to use it.
Okay, we've talked about the fortress, we've met the guards, and we've sized up the enemies. But there is one defender, the most important one of all, that we haven't mentioned, and that's you. At the end of the day, your habits and your actions are the single most critical piece of your own security.
And you know what the best part is? The most powerful defenses aren't complicated or expensive. They're just simple habits. Like for real, using strong, unique passwords for everything. That's huge. Clicking update when your software asks you to. That patches up the holes in your walls. Just being a little bit skeptical before you click a link in an email. Or using a VPN when you're on the coffee shop's Wi-Fi. It's these small, everyday actions that make the biggest difference in guarding your fortress.
And that's a wrap. We've gone all the way from the basic blueprint to standing on the battlements, ready to defend. So now the only question left is for you. After hearing all this, what's the one thing you're going to do, maybe right now, today, to make your own digital fortress just a little bit stronger?